ever stop to think about why we use a word like cool? I mean, what does it really mean today?
Right? It's not just about being fashionable.
No, that at all. It's deeper. It implies this total competence, a kind of deep involvement. It's the absolute opposite of being square.
And being square is what fragmented, disconnected? Well, that's actually the perfect place to start. That little shift in language, it's an echo of a massive technological change. And that's our book review for today.
We're going into the work of Marshall McLuhan, specifically from his landmark book, Understanding Media.
And our mission here is really to look past the content. We're not going to debate a TV show or a news headline.
No, we're trying to get at McLuhan's big radical idea that the media, technology itself, the very extension of our senses, is what changes everything: our perception, our society, even history.
Which brings us right to that famous phrase. The medium is the message.
Which so many people have heard, but it's often misunderstood.
It is. McLuhan's point was that the real consequences of any medium, any technology, really don't come from the content it carries. They come from the new scale that the technology introduces into our lives.
That's so counterintuitive, though. I think most of us assume technology is, a neutral tool.
Oh, absolutely. There's that famous quote from General Sarnoff where he says the products of science are not in themselves good or bad.
Right? It is the way they are used that determines their value. That sounds perfectly reasonable. It sounds reasonable, but McLuhan called that kind of thinking somnambulism, sleepwalking. Because if you say the product is neutral, you're ignoring what the thing is. It's like saying the smallpox virus is neither good nor bad.
I see. The consequence is baked into the nature of the thing itself.
Exactly. So if the medium's nature is the message, what's the hidden cost? This is where he brings in Narcissus as narcosis.
Narcissus, as in the myth. So how does that connect?
Well, Narcissus fell in love with his own reflection, right? He mistook an extension of himself for someone else, McLuhan says. We do the same with technology. We embrace an extension of ourselves, but in doing so, we basically numb the very part of us that's being extended. A self-amputation.
A self-amputation. Can you give me a modern example of that? That sounds extreme.
Sure, think about your smartphone. It's an extension of your memory, your nervous system. But we get so hypnotized by it, so focused on the content, that we become numb to how it's completely rewriting our attention span, our sense of place.
We're so in the trance of using it that we don't see how the tool itself is remaking us.
That's the narcosis. And for McLuhan, getting out of that trance is the only way to have any control.
Okay, so to help us break that trance, he gave us his analytical framework, the one that frankly confuses a lot of people. Hot versus cool media.
Yeah. And the first thing to remember is that these terms are technical. They're pretty much the opposite of how we use them in daily slang.
So let's define them. Hot media.
Hot media are high definition. They're full of data. They saturate a single sense. Think of print for the eye or radio for the ear. Because they give you so much information, they require very low participation from you.
Okay, high definition, low participation. So cool media must be the reverse.
Exactly. Low definition. They provide very little data, which means they demand hyper-dissipation. You have to work to complete the message. The telephone is a perfect example.
The telephone is cool.
Totally cool. Your ear gets this tiny, meager stream of information, just a voice. Your brain has to fill in everything else: the expression, the environment, the context. It requires this intense involvement.
And that brings us back to the slang term cool, that meaning total involvement, deep commitment. It's a perfect match for the technical definition.
It is. McLuhan saw that the electric age, the age of automation, demanded this kind of configured total involvement from people, not just specialized square jobs. The language was just reflecting a deeper social reality.
You can even see this playing out in politics. Can't you, like Calvin Coolidge?
Right? In the 1920s, the press, which was very hot medium, high definition, print. They found him to be cool in the technical sense.
It's because he was so quiet. Low definition.
Exactly. His silence forced the press to participate, to fill in the blanks, to basically create his image for the public. They had to get involved.
Whereas someone like FDR was the total opposite.
A master of a rival hot medium at radio. His fireside chats were high definition, authoritative. He delivered a complete package that required very little participation from the audience. You just listen.
It's fascinating how the medium's temperature dictates the whole communication style, even in like a crisis.
You're talking about the hotline.
Yeah. The famous link between Washington and Moscow is called the hotline, but it used teleprinter, a printed medium.
Which is a hot medium.
So why use a hot medium for a hot situation?
Because in an emergency, you need absolute clarity, high data, low participation. You want zero ambiguity. You need the medium to be as uncool, as unconversational as possible.
That instant clarity and speed that leads us to the next big idea, doesn't it? The shift from the mechanical age to the electric
A total implosion. A collapse of the old way of doing things.
Before electricity, the world was mechanical. It was lineal. You organize things by breaking them down into separate sequential jobs.
Fragmentation, data classification. A leads to B, leads to C. Very visual, very logical.
But the electric age moves at the speed of light. You can't do that anymore.
No, you can't. Fragmentation is replaced by the need for pattern recognition. This was a key insight from the early days at IBM. When information overload hits you at that speed, you have to see the whole configuration at once.
And this instant speed just shatters the old hierarchies, right? The old chain of command.
It absolutely does. The story of Dr. Crippen in 1910 is the perfect example on the ship, right?
Fleeing across the Atlantic, but for the first time, wireless telegraphy, instant electric information meant they could arrest him at sea before he even arrived.
And that must have been a shock to the system.
A profound shock. It was the moment everyone realized that the old structures which were built assuming a time delay were now obsolete. The pyramid of command just crumbles when the boss finds out about a problem at the exact same instant as the person on the ground.
So authority itself has to change. It's no longer about your position in the pyramid.
It shifts to the authority of knowledge. It's non-lineal. It's inclusive. It's why the telephone was such a disruptive force in the office.
That irresistible intruder, right?
It ignores visual privacy. It demands an instant response. It pushes for group consensus. It's what led to, the war on walls and open plan offices. It's the global village in miniature.
And what was the technology that created that old fragmented world in the first place?
Literacy, specifically the phonetic alphabet.
The alphabet itself. That's a massive claim. How?
Well, the phonetic alphabet is a technology that extends the sense of sight and isolates it from the other senses. It's abstract, and that visual bias, McLuhan argues, leads directly to specialization, to individualism, to this lineal, uniform way of organizing society.
So print culture created the individualist?
In a way, yes, and it was reinforced by another technology, the clock. The linearity of print plus the regular ticking of the clock created mechanical time.
Abstract time.
Abstract time develops from natural cycles. We started to eat by the clockwork, by the clock. We organized our lives by this extract grid, not by our body's own rhythms.
And Shakespeare was already writing about the anxiety of this.
He was living right through it. Think of Macbeth. That line about life creeps in this petty pace from day to day. That's the despair of being measured out by the clock, by recorded time.
The neurosis of the mechanical age.
And at the same time, in his sonnets, he's using the technology of print to promise immortality, to fight back against that very mechanical time. The medium is always there, shaping the message.
So as we move deeper into this electric age, this instant world, McLuhan says we're compressing into a global village.
We are. And that implosion is forcing a return to values that are more tactile, more sculptural, more iconic. It's a direct challenge to that detached visual world of the print age.
And you can see this shift everywhere, even in sports.
Yeah, look at the rise of football or basketball. They're about simultaneous team involvement, the whole configuration at once. They became popular as baseball, which is very lineal, very specialized. One individual at a time started to decline. The culture just started craving a different pattern.
Our whole aesthetic changes, even something like clothing.
Clothing becomes an iconic manifesto. You see a shift to more sculptural, tactual, cool things, a beehive hairdo, skin diving gear. It's about a unified presentation, a total involvement, not just a visual display.
He even mentioned that nudity lost its naughty excitement.
Right? Because of that excitement was a product of a purely visual culture, the old literate Westerner who separated sight from touch and sound. When all the senses get integrated again in this electric environment, that specialized visual kick kind of loses its power.
Which is why, for McLuhan, the artist has such a critical role to play. Art isn't just self-expression.
No, he says, art is radar. It's an early alarm system.
An early warning.
The artist is the antenna of the culture. They can sense these massive psychic and social shifts long before anyone else does. If we pay attention to the art, we get a heads up. We get time to cope.
And let's connect all this directly to, the world of learning. To you, our listener, the education crisis.
Absolutely. The student today lives in an electrically configured world. It's all instant circuitry, pattern recognition. It's a cool environment that demands total involvement.
And that world clashes head-on with a traditional classroom.
Constantly. The classroom, the specialized subjects, the linear lecture, that's all a hot-low participation structure that we inherited from the age of print.
So it's not that students are struggling, it's that they are sensory incompatibles with the system.
That's it exactly. We're trying to teach a resident of the global village with the organizational chart of a 19th century factory. The challenge is bridging that gap.
So when we put this all together, what's the big takeaway for you listening right now? I guess it's that autonomy, really. Just it requires awareness.
It does. If you can analyze the medium, the hidden structure, the scale it introduces, you get the key to understanding and maybe even controlling the shifts happening all around you.
It's the difference between being in that Narcissus trance, just sleepwalking,
And having a critical, total awareness. Control over change, he said, means moving not with it, but ahead of it. Anticipation is power.
and in this electric age, our nervous systems are basically extended across the globe. We are forced to be involved in depth in the consequences of everything we do.
There's no more detachment? We can't afford that aloof posture of the old literate specialist.
Which leaves us with the final question for you to think about. Given that this electric world forces us into this deep interdependence, this constant sensory conflict,
Can we actually achieve real human autonomy by extending our consciousness, our awareness, to these hidden battles being waged within our media?
the challenge is simply to become, as he put it, exceedingly informed and aware.
So take these lenses we've talked about, hot and cool, fragmentation and implosion, and apply them to the media you use today, your social feed, a streaming show. Whatever it is,
Ask yourself, what's the hidden message the medium itself is sending to my senses? Until the book review, stay aware.